Not every geek with a Commodore 64 can hack into NASA.
This one's dedicated to all the hackers. Yo. Even out, settle scores quick. Our disaster recovery requires even more discs. Put your bytes up, prove it or you forfeit. Got my C64 and we blew it into orbit. M. Bison with 8 straight perfects. Overbold emotions make hate break circuits. In case you heard, it's a name fake service. Optimize our runtime to escape verdicts. Got an integer scope flow that they can't sign. Passing code, didn't sanitize command lines, landmine. So before they'll see me after, I'm advice star, courage, woke plus velociraptor. Don't prove we're human unless we really have to. My team built schemes that destroy, recapture. Hate what they see, finish this chapter. By the way, we're not any geeks, we hack into NASA. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring. I'm just waiting till my BlackBerry dies, cause I'll replace it with the Raspberry Pi. Don't compare to this track, it makes everything they said dull. Neutralize any threat, turn Red Skull to Dev Null. They killed virus writers that we mentioned, but instead they ascended to the VX heavens to reincarnate as live wires. Still inside we hide ciphers and sign device drivers. Which school will we hit next? They didn't learn the format, so we've got a print F. Next step is a chin check. Freestyles that I spit best, they didn't decrypt yet. I crush internet MCs and rhyme battles. Get your Wi-Fi tackled, hacked by pineapple. I don't think you'll like my Snapple, cause I popped it with vodka in a cyanide capsule. We drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things.
You know there's gonna be security, right?
First we drink all the booze, then hack all the things. Then backdoor the firmware on anything you bring, regardless of the hardware, service or encoding. Connected to the internet and someone's gonna own it. This is for the pirates that clap and love the sound. Attacking from the cloud, then we're back in underground. There's no masking from us now. We pop tornadoes around the globe, track and hunt you down. Packed on schedule, add it to your calendar. Devices online, here comes another challenger. State infiltrated, so undercover. This is for my comrades who stare at the debuggers and trace every buffer. Examining the code flow, haven't been to sleep, better pop another no-dose. I think I'll need a planet-sized urn, cause some men just wanna watch the world burn. Your turn.
Stay out of jail.
Technologically possible, yeah.
Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Got this vodka and this Red Bull, they still give me wings. So we drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. Drink all the booze, hack all the things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring.
I mean, these servers have more firewalls than the devil's bedroom.
Hack all the things. Drink all the booze. Hack all the things. Hack all the things. Hack all the things. Things. 0 through 3, we're in every single ring. Hack all the things.
Yeah, well, good luck, man.
They still give me wings. Drink all the things. Drink all the vodka and pack all the booze. Drink all the booze. Hack all the hackers. Hack all the
Ladies and gentlemen and everyone around, welcome to UHC.
Yes!
welcome everyone and good night. This is one more UHC CTF match and I'm your host Marina Chavada. As y'all know, I'm a social engineer from Brazil. I live in the US now. So English is not my main language. So we're gonna struggle a little bit throughout the night, but bear with me because this is just amazing. If you've never seen UHC, you just arrived at a hacking competition, CTF and esports style. I know it's not something you're used to see. This is pretty much new. I think it's brand new actually, because I have never seen a CTF on Twitch, esports style with hosts and guests, and the championship happening live. So this is what you see tonight. As usual, on our weekly edition, so UHC happens every week on Sunday here on Twitch. We are going to have our top 10 players of last night's qualifying rounds. So every Saturday, UHC has an offline qualifying round, and 10 of our players get qualified for playing here live on Twitch. So if you want to play on UHC, you better go to the Discord server. On the Discord server, you can not only compete on the qualifying round or just even play around to get to know a little bit about the CTF or train yourself, but you can also get to know the community that we have there. Our fans, our players, the staff, everyone is there on the Discord server. You just have to type !Discord, and the very rude bot that we have there, Nightbot, will give you the link. You're gonna find out why this bot is rude throughout the night. You'll see. And we apologize beforehand. So yeah, go to the Discord server. You can meet a lot of the people. We're gonna watch tonight's CTF through a Discord server, but this one is not open to public. The one that we're gonna watch here on UHC, it's only for hosts and guests and players access. So you are not gonna be able to access the one that we're gonna broadcast here. I know this question is gonna show up a lot, so I'm already giving the disclaimer here. I want to thank so much all of our sponsors tonight. We have Krausak, we have Bug Hunt, and we have Hecate, all Brazilian companies, because UHC was born in Brazil. It's actually two lives happening at the same time. This English one is the English version of UHC, and we also have the Brazilian version, which is, you can say, the original one. You can also watch that on, twitch.tv/hacking esports. And they're going to be talking Brazilian Portuguese, so you better prepare. But for English, you can just stay here with us. I'm like watching the Brazilian stream. I am also watching ours. I'm keeping an eye here on Discord. While the players put themselves in the rooms and prepare themselves. So I'm doing a lot, but I'm not doing this by myself. I want to thank so much the UHC staff that we have backstage. Isa from Brazil, thank you so much for helping us every night. And as you all know, I always have an amazing host with me. And it's my beautiful husband. Look at this beautiful, cute little face. This little cute mustache. Hi, baby.
Hello. How's it going?
Introduce yourself.
My name is Int80. I am the rapper in Dual Core and more famously known as Marina's husband. I host UHC every week with Marina. And Marina and I built a desk today, and it's a standing desk, and I forgot to put my light in place. And so my lighting is messed up, and I apologize, but it will be fixed next week. But I'm actually standing at the standing desk now and feeling pretty good. And hopefully I won't have to lay down in the middle of the event.
No, you will not. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I hack computers and I make rap music about it. So our group Dual Core is myself and C64, producer from the UK. He makes all of the beats, does the mixing, does their artwork, some of our social media engagement. Basically, like he's all of the talent in the group. I also have a solo project that I put out earlier this year in coordination with Michael Kill, who I also have a group with named the Troubleshooters. You might, there you go. You might see the cover in the background at the top shelf there. But Michael and I have a group together called the Troubleshooters. We are part of a bigger collective called No Friends. And then Michael did all of the production on my solo EP that came out in January, which is called Loyalty. It's all about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And the audio was engineered by Cecil Nick of AutoCorrect, who is also from our collective of No Friends. Other than that, I like hacking. I like learning. It's always cool to see what's going on in UHC. I learn something new every single week. And so I'm excited that y'all are here joining us because hopefully you'll learn something alongside us.
Yes. Also, go look for Dual Core music in Spotify or whichever streaming music platform, YouTube or whatever you would like to go for, because it is pretty fucking dope.
Thank you. And then I'm especially excited tonight because we have two of my longtime friends joining us here on UHC, and they are friends that I have not seen in some time because of the pandemic, but we all used to live very close to each other in Northern California. And I think the fact that we don't live close to each other now probably is better for our health.
Do you want to introduce them and I can bring them on screen?
Sure. Let's bring in Savant first.
Hello.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Try that again. Hello.
There you go. We have a streamer among us.
I am an 80. I'm the rapper in Dual Core. I hack computers, but I make crap music. Okay. All right. Hey, I'm Savant.
I am loving the stream deck.
I came prepared.
Savant, tell us more about yourself. Why should people be interested that you are joining us here on UHC tonight?
Oh man, if you really shouldn't. I don't know. If you have, and there's probably some traces I forgot to destroy in a Ron Swanson style effort to delete myself from the internet. Once upon a time, I used to work with some of the folks involved in making this, and given the opportunity, I would bury body for them. So here I am. I used to break into buildings, but now I'm old.
Burying body.
Yeah.
This meeting is being recorded.
So they're really big. No. Every now and then, I like to play around with phones and stuff, and I thought that ham radio would be an awesome pandemic activity, but as it turns out, it's really mostly just old racists planning on subjugation and stuff, which I can get on Twitter for free. So I decided that I didn't need to localize it. So I've been playing with music a lot more.
and if you check Twitter via Wi-Fi, that's still radio.
Yeah, that's technically true. I mean, we're looking at, under ideal conditions, 300 baud's about the best you can hope for, but packet radio BBSs are still a thing.
Nice. Well, Savant, you are a member of an infamous hacker crew named DC949, and our allegedly an allegedly infamous hacker crew. And our other guest is Kaz, also a member of DC949. Welcome, Kaz.
Hey, everyone. I'm not. I don't have the button. I do have a stream deck here, but I haven't bothered to set it up yet. I try to be cool, but then turns out software support on Linux for the stream deck is very DIY, and I've just been so lazy.
Understandable. And so, Kaz, I know that you have competed in the qualifying round before. You just didn't check your email, so this is your first time joining us on the finals.
Twice, actually. One time I didn't get the notification because my name was different from my everything else, and then the second time I woke up really late in the afternoon, and I missed the message completely. So Oh well. But
and so,
yeah.
yeah. Aside from being a CTF competitor, an occasional CTF competitor, why would other people be interested to know about you joining us tonight?
Well, I mean, Savant already did the what nobody should be interested in me bit. So I'm going to repeat that and say nobody should be interested either. But, I've been around for a little bit. Me and Savant and you have spent a lot of time. You are true in saying that when we all kind of went our own ways, our health generally improved, I believe. I know my back definitely got better after not sleeping on your couch every other weekend. I do the hacks. I worked with Savant doing pen testing, AppSec. I've done product security at other places like Tesla. Most recently, I've been doing, I guess, like small, medium business security at a local municipality, actually, the city I live in. And that has been very interesting. I really wanted to jump into a really small environment, all Windows based. I wanted to get a lot of experience kind of working in that environment and securing that from the ground up. So that has been a lot of fun, actually.
I wish you could have joined us for the UHC last week. The final flag was this like really weird like domain forest trust issue that Kadu, our main machine creator, our main environment creator, had to literally like share his screen and diagram out to like explain what the solution was at the end.
Yeah, is that I think that sounds like the anonymous SIDS or security identifier or something like that. I really wish I would have jumped on that because it's super fun. And in fact, I'm not even doing Windows stuff anymore. This last week I was enjoying fun employment and I started a new job tomorrow that is a complete 180 of what I've been working on. It's all now cloud-based. Everything's Macs. There's no Windows Active Directory. So it's going to be interesting.
Ooh, very cool. There's an individual who works at Salesforce, and they publish a lot of really cool AWS tooling that I've seen from their Twitter. They had an app called Endgame that they published, but then it like got taken down. They kept their name's I think Kinnaird McQuaid. I'm probably mispronouncing it, and if you're watching, I apologize if I mispronounced it. But lots of cool tooling published by this individual, and I kept wondering like, which is going to be the one that like breaks the camel's back, and apparently it was Endgame, but you can go on archive.org and search for it and get a copy of it still.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm really excited. I've worked in those environments here or there, done a lot of pen testing in those environments, but I'm really looking forward to securing them. But now I don't even feel like a hacker anymore because all I do is secure stuff every day. So got to jump on.
It's fine to be
anyway.
a pirate, but I don't want to be a pirate. I want to be a pirate king. That's the nice thing about hacking cloud environments is that you get to hack at scale and in a way that it normally wouldn't necessarily even be feasible. So even with city or municipal environments, which hitherto were considered to be large and untouchable, now with elastic virtual infrastructure, I once heard a story of a hacker who managed to clone an entire business via AWS. That under their complete control. So it's a whole new ballgame out there.
Yep,
absolutely. Well, I think we've got 9 players. I think one of our players had a family emergency, but let's intro the players to the audience and see who is playing tonight.
All right, let's check it out. This is our 35th. Is that how you say it? 35th edition? Jesus, 35 weeks of UHC so far. That's a lot of UHCs, y'all. So first player that we have tonight is João Ribeiro from Brazil. João is Nahamsec favorite player. Baptized John the winner by himself by Nahamsec himself. So yeah, I think we already have the first favorite of tonight's match.
Nice.
And we have Mateus PFF2, COVID ready. We like that. Also from Brazil. I think it's a newcomer, right? Or just he just changed the name to be funny. Oh yeah, it's not a newcomer. It's Mateus that we usually have here with us. He just changed the handle.
Yep. Yeah. Mateus Pimentel has been. I've seen him qualify. I want to say at least the past few months now, every week.
Mm-hmm. And now we have Wade as well. Wade, our 4 times champion, also from Brazil. I see a lot of players from Brazil tonight. We usually have at least 1 or 2 from outside of the country, so let's check if we have anyone else. So Wade, obviously, another favorite here because he's been a winner 4 times. And we have Demon, I-386, I3, whatever.
Yeah, 386 old Intel architecture.
Okay, so I'm just gonna call you Demon, you know?
Yes.
Because we're friends, we're very good friends. This is a newcomer, right? Never seen him
I think
playing.
Demon has been on, I want to say once or maybe twice before.
Don't remember.
Oh, maybe first time also, not sure.
Okay, so we do have Silesian as well. Now, Silesian also from Brazil, very young kid, but also extremely bright. We've seen time after time he being a winner of UHC. He is a huge favorite, so let's see if tonight's also his night, as usually is. And we also have Bigous, another one-time player, another one-time champion here from UHC. Bigous is a frequent player. We can see Bigous playing pretty much every week here on UHC. Also another very young kid from Brazil as well. And we have James Rasnor, also from Brazil. Not a newcomer. Definitely played around UHC a few times. But never a winner, so tonight maybe is James' night. And we have a newcomer here as well from Brazil to Sarajevo. That is a very weird name for a Brazilian player.
It's like an anagram of Sarajevo, which is a city in Eastern Europe.
I can bet with you that is not what this kid went for. We have Xord, another veteran here from UHC, has been playing around a few times already. And these are all of our players of tonight's match. Unfortunately, Bert was going to play tonight, and just a few minutes ago, he had to step out because of a few personal emergencies. But now we have our 9 players of tonight's match. We usually have 10, but because Bert couldn't be here, we're down to 9. Bert, we wish you the best. And let me just double check here with the staff to see if the CTF has started. Let me check.
And so for folks who are joining us for the first time, each UHC has a unique environment that is constructed to be hacked intentionally. So the players are all on this private network attacking systems that I think are usually run out of AWS, I want to say, with the goal of capturing flags, right? CTF, capture the flag. And flag is your proof of access. So it could be like a file on the file system. It could be a string that maybe comes back in an HTTP response, just somewhere that you have found this distinct flag to prove that you got access to this particular system. And so I guess, are there, okay, there we go.
There we go.
Looks like 3 challenges this week.
Yes, 3 flags
right.
tonight.
Cool. And so we are watching John the winner's screen right now. I'm trying to pull it up. We'll see if it loads. John has like notoriously been problematic in trying to get his screen to load.
All right. So just so everyone know, we have a few things that we have to tell you before we proceed. Tonight it is the normal 3-hour match. That means either the top player will win if the player gets all of the 3 flags, or the championship goes up to 3 hours. So if we go up to 3 hours, the championship then ends, and whoever has more points on the scoreboard is the winner. or the first player to get to get all of the 3 flags. They can also be the winner. That's pretty much it. We are gonna keep updating you on, early game, mid game, late game, and you can check out the scoreboard here on the chat, and also you can just type !scoreboard at any moment if you want to check the scoreboard. We obviously don't have anyone so far, but Silesian is very well known for being in the scoreboard in early game. So keep an eye on the scoreboard with us right there. And please go to our store here on the Twitch channel. If you just scroll down here on Twitch, you will find the store with a bunch of cool stuff for you to get. And you can use your Twitch points so you don't have to pay money, or you can do donations or subscribing, whichever you prefer. By using Twitch points, you can buy time off the scoreboard. You can bring the scoreboard down for a small period of time to mess around with the CTF strategy and to mess around with the players as well. You can buy a player's screen time, so we have to share that player's screen here on Twitch for a little amount of time. You can do that just because you like the player, or to not show someone else's screen, so they have the advantage on updating and submitting the flag, so we don't show it here. Because here's the catch: the players are not forbidden to watch any of both of the streams that are happening tonight. They can watch the Portuguese one, they can watch here the English one, and since we do not know the solutions to the actual challenges, we may as well give some hints. We don't know. We might be talking about the challenge, and one hint just roll out of our mouths, and if they're listening, they can use that as advantage. But let's just recap here. 3 hours for a CTF is a pretty small window. It is a very short amount of time for a CTF. So they are already running against time, and they are being broadcasted live on Twitch. So there is the pressure of exposure, and there is pressure of time. Plus, they have to listen to, choose streamings in 2 different languages and actually play. So it's all part of the mind games. And if you want to, spice it up, you can also buy time off the scoreboard and all of the stuff here on our Twitch store. So yes, should be a very interesting night tonight.
Awesome. So jumping into John's screen here and what we see going on, I saw in the terminal, it looked like there were a few different recon apps running. I saw WFuzz and GoBuster. And then there's the web browser, which has a page that I think probably came from the scoreboard from the first challenge. And then it looks like it advertises a file upload functionality, but that doesn't seem to work. And when we saw John looking at the view source, there was some JavaScript in there that looks like it would post to an API inside of API gateway. So right now, looks like John is just going to test with the file and try to get the file upload working. If you can get it working, then my next thing would probably be to upload a shell and try to get a web shell. Why don't we start kind of at the beginning with the enumeration stuff? Savant, what do you like right now for web app enumeration as far as like active recon?
For active recon, I still keep finding myself going back to the tired and true Nikto. I know that there are other things that other people prefer to. There's a lot of great alternatives, like using a custom burp intruder list or Dirbuster, but I can't tell you the number of times early on in my career that Nikto pulled a Hail Mary out of nowhere and was really good at discovering what I'm seeing here, which is just random file upload functionality, which hackers, as you mentioned, love to exploit.
Absolutely. And Kaz, what about you? What do you like?
With regards to just kind of fuzzing the application or brooding directories, I use GoBuster. It's kind of like the Go version of Dirbuster, which is, I guess, discontinued and unsupported. It's fast. It's great. I mean, it's simple. I try to avoid doing a whole lot of automated scanning and vulnerability finding, especially in a CTF. I don't really think that it would oftentimes be as simple as the pre-made payloads that are in burp's list that are going to get you what you need to get. I feel like a lot of times the challenges are more designed to make you think about what the actual vulnerability could be instead of just running an automated tool against it. But for Intel, I mean, yeah, GoBuster, Burp, whatever, just to get it lay out of the land.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That reminds me of something that in D303, the fabulous Chris Nickerson once told me is just never fall into the trap of favoring tool over technique. Or I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but you know, essentially, as long as the fundamentals are sound, the technique, the way to get there, will work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Understanding that, you know, trying to map out what the application does and how it behaves is kind of what you're getting at, and so right, like the tools don't make the hacker, right? It's about understanding what needs to get done and actually executing. In this case, it looks like I saw John trying to load some files in, right? Because the page says like drag your file here, but then when he loads it, it just loads locally. And now it looks like he did get a file upload, and he got a response back. We see a repeater on the right side says saved UHC Labs px.text, and the file name is px.text. So what I would be doing at this point is seeing where is that exactly? Is it accessible in the web directory, or how can I like get that to load such that I can request the file directly? Because then I can upload like a web shell. Or maybe something else that can help me get access onto the system. So here we go. We see John trying to find it and invalid HTTP method. Okay, cool. So this is where we see our verb like get or post or whatever. And it looks like John just making a regular get request here. And so probably needs to change the actual verb, HTTP verb that's being used.
First blood.
Oh, wow, that was fast. Who was it?
Dang.
Oh, we don't know. We don't know because the scoreboard is down.
And the HomSec is or was in the chat, so that might be a causality.
Come on. I bet he did it.
I think it might have been Silesian. I've been looking at his screen and I just saw the scoreboard pop up and I thought I saw a green box.
All right. Yeah, let's jump down to Silesian. We do see that Silesian is fuzzing this API and now looking for, looks like command injection, trying to do like a timing attack and see whether it actually does sleep for 5 seconds. So that's pretty cool. That looks like the JavaScript that came out of the page source. And so this is one of the things that I like is in web apps when you end up with this kind of setup is to just work with the JavaScript directly. As opposed to like doing repeater and burp. What do y'all like to do in those situations? Kaz, we'll start with you.
Yeah, usually I'll review the JavaScript, especially if it is an application that's fairly heavy there. I use a lot of Chrome's developer tools. I like stepping through with the dev tools, some of the JavaScript functions. Sometimes you can add breakpoints to kind of figure out when things are going through. Sometimes it's as easy as just taking that JavaScript blob, throwing it into if it's not formatted correctly, throw it into a JavaScript prettifier, and then looking for endpoints or different methods that's used to communicate with the different APIs. I guess that was really mostly about it with JavaScript stuff. It looks like he's trying to do direct command injection in this case.
Yeah, we see the like backticks, and we saw the $sign parentheses. Savant, what about you? When you start poking at web apps and you see something like this where there's some JavaScript, do you tend to rely more heavily on burp, or do you do something else?
I think, I tend to rely more heavily on burp. I'm able to build a mental image much easier using repeater, and that allows me to slow down and be surgical. And then within the HTTP history, I'll color code my assumptions or assessments, and I'll add comments. One of the really nice features that I just noticed recently, or maybe it's new to me and I haven't been paying attention, was Burp started shipping with, at least the Windows version, with a built-in web browser. And that is a godsend to me, because
nice.
no longer do I have to rely on Firefox and their unfathomably chatty telemetry talking home. It's like impossible to block with any sort of filter. I'm died trying whack-a-mole. So this built-in browser functionality has been glorious.
Yeah, Savant, what you said is kind of getting a lay of getting an mental image of how the app works. The first thing I usually do when I'm looking at an application is I'm not even looking at the JavaScript files yet, or really even diving deep or trying to upload any sort of attacks. I'm just clicking through things. I'm just using the application, maybe how it was intended to use, trying to upload this or that, updating my profile, just whatever I can to generate some dynamic traffic. So then I can go back, look at the history, and kind of get an idea of what the application looks like and how it operates.
So
building that. Sorry, go ahead, Marina.
I'm sorry. I just need to let you all know about the betting system that we have going on tonight. We do have, for everyone here watching, a betting opportunity. Yes, you can bet on a CTF tonight here on Twitch. You can use your Twitch points. You don't have to bet money. You can get Twitch points by just chatting here with us on Twitch in the chat. And as you talk, you're gonna get some Twitch points, and you can bet them on who you think it's gonna win tonight's match. Now, the betting system, if you scroll down, you can see every player Discord room number. So you're gonna bet your Twitch points on your player of choice, on your player of choice's Discord room number. So you type !points to know how many Twitch points you have to bet, and then you can choose one of the players by their Discord number, by their Discord room number, and then you can place your bet by typing !bet and choosing the room and how many Twitch points you want to bet. So here I'm just gonna show you real quick, but you can also see the players' Discord room here on Twitch if you scroll down. But number 1 is João Ribeiro, or John, the winner. 2 is Mateus. 3 is Wade. 4, Demon. 5, Salesian. 6, Bigous. 7, James. 8, we have, who do we have here? Saravejo. 9 is Empty. It would be Bert. And 10, we have Exord. And that is pretty much it. You can choose the player that you want to bet and use your Twitch points, y'all. But you have to do that as fast as you can, because the betting system is up only for the first hour of the CTF. After early game, the betting is closed. So in the last 2 hours of the game, you cannot bet anymore. So you have to do it as fast as you can.
Also want to give a shout out to Luis Fergromo. Thank you so much for subscribing to us with Prime. We love the support. We appreciate it. Thank you for helping us make UHC happen. One thing that I noticed is new here in Salesian's terminal is it looks like Salesian has a command, maybe just a clone of the payloads, all the things repo. But I saw him do like a command lookup thing. Maybe it was just kind of like searching for it or whatever. But anyways, Salesian going for the command execution here straight into the API. Doing a technique that I really like with the curly brace expansion for the commands. And so if you're running into something where you've got spaces are getting caught or filtered out or whatever, you can bypass that and remove all of the spaces using curly braces and then commas for each argument of the command. And that can include the command itself as well, which is something that I learned here on UHC.
Yes. Is that related to the Linux field separator functionality that you can use to exploit systems that don't like to have more than one argument?
Yeah. So IFS, right, is another way to do that.
Excuse me.
Yep, but the IFS can be touchy sometimes, and also it's an environment variable if I remember correctly. So it could be set to something that's not helpful, and so it's like then you've got to get a $sign in there somewhere, and you just potentially run into other issues. And so I really
It's
like the
just
curly brace
turtles all the way
expansion.
down.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
Oh,
simple
boy.
approach that's very direct.
Take a look at the scoreboard tonight. It is
Oh, here
it
we
is
go.
already
It's
filled.
Neck and neck.
So 7 players are already in the scoreboard. There is only 2 more to go here to come here on this join the other ones in the scoreboard. In first place we have James Rasnor. So it was not Silesian the first one to submit the flag. Okay, so now you can see all of those players have 200 points, which means everyone here got the easy flag, the first flag. And what happens here on UHC is even if 2 or more players submit the same flag and they have the same score, even so, the first person to submit has advantage. So even if they're tied, it goes up to the order that people submitted their flags. Therefore, they all have the same score, but this is the position that they're in now. So James Rasner first, Silesian second, Demon third, John fourth, Bigous fifth, Exord sixth. Is that it? And
Sixth,
Wade seventh. Such a weird word. All right. Back
And
to
congratulations to all the players. Time, particularly if we're not consulting, but rather we're hired in-house. The idea of working as hard as these players are to accomplish as much in 3 hours seems unfathomable. The amount of time I waste in 3 hours, you can't count that high.
Yeah, I always.
I was going to say, if we jump over to James Rasner's screen, it looks like they actually have the source code of the Lambda that is gets run when from the API. And so, Kaz, sorry, you were saying?
I was gonna say I always loved CTFs for that reason. I mean, doing this day in day out as a job is super fun and rewarding, but we do have that convenience of time available to us. It's very rarely have I gone into assessment and learned a completely new set of skills during that time, because we just don't see the variety of CTFs or the variety of vulnerabilities that CTFs regularly throw at you, especially one like this where there are multiple steps and there's a bunch of different bugs chained together. So it's kind of really exciting to have to spend as much time as possible in that short amount of time just learning about something completely new that maybe you've never even played with before. There's can't really recreate that in a job, I feel like.
Yeah, and I love that about CTFs. One of my favorite aspects is being able to experiment. So, here on UHC, you kind of get like this scale because you've got up to 10 players and they're showing you the tools that they like. And a lot of times there's something new that I didn't know about. There's a new tool like I learned about PHP GGC, which is like a gadgets generator for serialization bugs in PHP. I had no clue that existed. I knew WISO serial for like Java apps, and I knew WISO for .NET apps, but I had no idea that there was a PHP one. And so then in CTF, it's kind of this like fun environment where if something breaks, no big deal, right? Professionally, if something breaks, kind of a big deal because there's like a business that's losing money or people can't get to a service that they need or something. Here, like if you try a new tool in any CTF, you try a new tool, a different technique or whatever, no big deal if it doesn't work out or something breaks or something goes wrong. So I'm totally with you. And then Kaz, to your other point about the variety, almost all of our CTFs here at UHC are made by one individual named Kadu. And Kadu is making 2 unique CTFs per week. So there's the qualifying round
That's
on
incredible.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 2 separate environments. And then there's the finals on Sunday, which you're watching right now. And this is the 35th edition. So Kadu has made over like 70 unique environments with different kill chains, different bugs, etc. We do see like a couple I'll say like repeats. Like sometimes a flag just comes back in an HTTP response as you browse around the site without having to really do anything. But that's fine. But there's always something new in UHC twice every single week, which is amazing.
That's how do you have we met this individual, and are we certain that they're not a very clever AI trying to find a way to break out?
Why isn't he playing in CTFs, just like making money or doing bug bounties? Like, why is he doing this? Because obviously he's got a pretty good repertoire of vulnerabilities that he can pull from to be able to build all this.
Yep. So he's got his company is one of the sponsors here, Crowsec. And so they do like trainings, and I think he actually does, pen testing as like a professional service as well. The weird thing that he had last week with the like domain forest trust stuff, he was like, "Oh yeah, I saw this in a pen test." I was like, "This doesn't exist. This is like some like contrived thing that you made up." And he's like, "No, I found it in a pen test last week." And I was like, "That is so wild." Going back to what we see with James Rasner here. So James had the Lambda code, and it looked like there's like a dump endpoint to the API. So you can post to the API, you can get the source code of the Lambda back, which is great, except for the fact that it looks like it's coded in JavaScript, at which point I would probably just have technical difficulties and turn off my computer. I was going to ask y'all, like, have y'all ever built anything with Lambda and API gateway, or just Lambda? And if so, like, what's your go-to language on that platform for serverless?
A little bit. I mean, I like mostly doing stuff in Python. There are a couple serverless frameworks that I've used that use JavaScript as the primary language, and I'm all right with that without anything too advanced for just manipulating data or making some basic requests here or there or whatever. JavaScript is fine. It's good enough, but I really prefer Python. I've actually had a lot of fun with messing with Lambdas in assessment previously before. I really like the fact that they're pretty much free in AWS up to a certain quota. So you can just spin up temporary ephemeral virtual machines in a client's AWS environment and kind of just do whatever you want. I really like that stuff. There's a couple other really cool places that do serverless type thing, like Microsoft has their own and Cloudflare has their own. I wish I had more of a reason to do that stuff, but
maybe in the new gig. And Savant, what about you with serverless? What's your go-to language?
My go-to, all of them. Yeah, all of them. I'm equally bad at all of them. So you pick a favorite, and I will suck at it. No, like Kaz said, Python. I'm the least shit at that. Although I do have some fairly legendary shell scripting abilities. It has been said. Lambda stuff is really, really cool. I mean, it's interesting to not swim in this pool for longer than like the time that I spent a little bit outside of the AWS ecosystem, the amount of growth and expansion and paradigm shifting technology that they've made cheap is unsubstantiated. It's like watching a kid, like a nephew, that you only get to see like once a year. And you're like, how did you get so big? You're like shaving. It's crazy. So, I mean, like I just recently started getting back into it, and I'm feeling tired just trying to keep up.
It is so hard. I've been studying a lot with the new gig. And you're right. I came back looking at Amazon stuff and I'm like, whoa, AWS is like 5 times bigger than I remember. I mean, they have a product for everything. In some cases, they have multiple products that do the same thing, or they have products that you tack onto the other one to accelerate them or to just do various things. And there's a lot of interoperability and a lot of pretty intense stuff going on. I can't imagine. I probably will have to spend some time and go to an actual training course to learn it all the best I can, because there's just so much.
Yeah, I had good success getting my feet wet with AWS just by doing the Certified Solutions Architect Associate, and so that kind of covers like some of the core services. And was like a good way to just kind of get more comfortable and familiar with AWS.
Sounds great. I'm gonna have to write that down.
Yeah, I just pulled that up.
Yeah, and I used a site called acloud.guru, and it was like really helpful. They have other certifications and paths and everything for training as well, but bonus points if you can get work to expense it, and they had some really good material that made me feel very familiar with AWS much faster than I would have on my own.
Awesome.
So I've been out of the ground level, in the trenches engineering role for a while. Now, with certifications, how do you really know who to throw your weight behind, or who's going to have lasting value, and which one's just a shady cash grab?
Yeah, well, at least in the cloud space, I feel like there are a limited number of players, right? I think it's pretty well agreeable that the main players are AWS, Microsoft, or AWS, GCP, Azure, and then maybe Ali Cloud. I would say Alibaba Cloud.
Don't forget about Oracle Cloud.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, my bad, Dave. Oh no, wait, Dave left. I can talk trash about Oracle Cloud now. No, I'm just kidding.
While y'all were there talking trash about Oracle, Wade now is in first place that we just seen here on screen and also on the commentary there in the chat. Wade is now with 600 points. That means he has easy flag and medium flag.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Wade.
It looks like Wade was able to get. Yeah, there it is. There's the secrets, right? So now what Wade can do is use the AWS CLI or some other SDK client like Photo 3. Take the session token, the AWS secret, and the access key. Put those all together into a profile, which he's doing right now on the bottom of his screen. You can see with AWS configure, and that will allow Wade to start interfacing with the AWS environment with whatever permissions that the Lambda has. So this is Wade has accessed the environment variables from the Lambda, and now is going to start talking with AWS directly.
Do you see what I see? Now, this may just be how things used to be in my day, but the access key starts with ASIA instead of the typical AKIA. So AKIA is for mere mortal accounts, and at least in the classic system, ASIA was reserved for privileged accounts for root. Do you think that might be what's happening here?
Oh, that is a good point. Yeah. So one thing that you could do, or that Wade could do, is to run AWS STS get caller identity, and the get caller identity API will tell you about what your current credentials are, and so that is a possibility. If it was running as the root user, you could probably do some serious damage there. Though it is possible to constrain the root user on an AWS account as well. But yeah, so it looks like Wade found command injection is what I'm seeing here. There's like a W semicolon, and then we see like AWS and then whatever. And so it looks like Wade is trying to run some AWS commands inside of the Lambda through the code execution.
It looks like you might be accessing the internal APIs that
right.
Yeah, that you can typically only access from the 169 network.
Wade taking a break.
Does Get Caller ID pull back all of your permissions and credentials? Because I remember using Cardinal Onage's Weird Owl, I think he called it, AWS attack library, and that would just take the tokens and do an attempted request to each API endpoint and return back the list that didn't come back with a negative response.
Nice. Yeah. The STS get caller identity API will just tell you what your current role or user is. And then it will, but you're right. There's other tooling around there that can get you more details. There's other APIs that you can call directly as well. So let's see, who are we watching right now? We're watching Bigous or
I'm just jumping around.
Sure. Let's jump to Demon, who I think is one of our first time players, maybe the only first time player.
It is very hard to actually watch Demon because his screen is behaving just like John's screen usually behaves.
So I was
Yeah.
watching Demon stream earlier, and I must say they have the loveliest UI with like a light purple hue to it, and the terminal matches, the background, the wallpaper, the aesthetic is just razor sharp. So kudos.
Chef's kiss.
Real hacker movie vibes.
Yes.
I'm into it. I'd rollerblade to that.
I'm yes. Grand Central, hack the planet. I just checked the scoreboard. It is up, so maybe Nahamsec has given us a break. And Wade is still in first at 600. Everybody else at 200, with 2 players not yet on the board.
But there's still time.
Oh yeah, actually, Wade I think won 1 week in like the last like minute and a half or something like that, or like the last like couple minutes. It was crazy. It was like a wild finish. We were totally thinking like, yep, time's winding down. Last couple minutes. Here we go. Like this, gonna wrap up. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Wade is just like, oh, by the way, the last flag, and then won. It was incredible.
And mic drop.
Yes, mic drop and cleared the room. I think that. I'm watching James Rasner right now, and James Rasner just got the 2nd flag.
Congrats.
Nice.
Yeah. So what James found, if we jump over, we're going to see the burp repeater here. And so James used the env from the command injection to dump the environment variables. And so that is likely, I'm guessing, how Wade was able to get that environment variable dump as well.
Classic trick.
Yep. Yeah. Or sometimes if you get a file read, you can read out of like proc
self.
And yep. And so that's also a potential route to get that's very helpful in these kinds of situations where you've got secrets in the environment. So yeah, what I would be thinking at this point is to take the AWS keys, the AWS creds out, and set up, AWS CLI or Bodo 3 or whatever, and start poking around inside of AWS. I've got to imagine that there's some other resource that's got this final flag in it. I mean, we're only, I don't know, like 45 minutes into the CTF, and people have got 2 of the 3 flags. So, and they've got, valid creds. So either there's some kind of like priv-esque to get, more access inside of AWS, or it's just a scavenger hunt at this point to see who can get that final flag first.
If I had to guess, I would expect that you would be able to exploit the permissions of the Lambda that they were able to steal earlier and use that as a privilege escalation. At that point, you've got complete access over the hypervisor. Then it just becomes a matter of persisting and making sure that your enemies don't kick you out, and also so that you don't get detected.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking in this environment, especially in the Lambda environment, it's probably not something in the local network, because all that stuff is very ephemeral. You're not really expected that another web service is going to exist within the same subnet. So in mapping that environment may not help, probably not. But I would definitely go after those credentials first, because those are, that is like the golden ticket if it has access to anything.
For everyone wanting to bet, since the bot is down, you can go to the link that I've just posted here on our chat, and you can vote directly through the link. So the bot is not functioning, for the betting, but you can still bet on the link. And I'm just saying this because the votes are, the betting system is probably gonna close in around 10 to 15 minutes.
So I don't want to claim that there was some metagaming going on, but Wade is mysteriously returned. And I wonder if Wade was like BRB to get us to leave his screen while he poked around and then come back. What's interesting here, though, is Wade is trying to throw himself a reverse shell rather than poking around with the AWS creds, and that is not the direction I would be going. As we've mentioned, it's this ephemeral. Lambda's an ephemeral execution environment, right? So you've got a max, I think, 15-minute execution time before, and then it disappears. So I wouldn't necessarily want a connection out of that. I would want to take the creds and then, look around the AWS environment.
Yeah, I'd probably look to see if the application had any other resources. If there were, I don't know, maybe there's a credential file that connects back to a database. I haven't seen if they've kind of explored the actual Lambda object that was pushed up to AWS, but at the very least, I would use the commands, probably not a command shell. I always hate throwing command shells out and doing all that if I have direct command injection, just because I'm lazy, really, is what it is. Look for any configuration files or like that, but I imagine probably somebody's already done that. I'm sure they've all done that.
And remember, if you're doing something that you're not supposed to be, or especially if you're working for a team that's paid to do so, your client may not look too happily on you throwing TCP connections in the clear text across the network, or especially across the internet. I saw a TCP to port 4444, but what I didn't see was any sort of MTLS or TLS negotiation. So if I am a really sneaky, maybe an insider threat, and I'm just watching egress traffic because I hate my job and I don't get paid very well, there's just secrets leaving. One, I say nothing, and two, I have smokescreen. So something to think about.
Yeah, and that's kind of going back to the earlier discussion about why we like CTF. It's one of the beauties of CTF, right? Is like you can throw netcat shells around with zero consequence.
OPSEC is hard. That's why CTF. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. I base 64, encrypt everything, and then we're good to go.
We route 13 twice.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang.
Route 26 it.
Too advanced for me.
I'll teach you.
Oh, thanks.
But yeah,
I will have to charge.
Oh.
Just so y'all know, scoreboard is down.
Nahamsec revenge.
I am pretty sure, yes. The first time it was him, the staff confirmed.
That's kind of
I
lame.
see Salesian using the IFS variable injection instead of the curly brackets.
And Wade saying they are not a fan of serverless, apparently. Let's see. Why don't we're popping over to Salesian currently. So so exactly what you said, Salesian doing the IFS stuff, working on the command injection here. Interestingly enough, I guess semicolon will still run the following command, so no big deal there. All right. It looks like Salesian just kind of going for, I don't know, just maybe checking to see whether the command injection is working. But I think the IFS is causing some troubles there.
Another thing that may not be obvious to people that are new to web application command injection is that you can't test for this thing quite easily just through a standard web browser, because they will URL encode the special character that causes the web application to break, which is by design. If you want to actually break it on purpose, though, you need a custom tool, and Burp Suite Professional is one of my very favorites.
Nice. And so Burp Suite will do the encoding for you automatically, or is that in the community edition or in the pro edition?
Well, I've only, and I don't want to flex privilege here, but I've had the opportunity to use the professional version only so far. And at that point, you have the option of encoding it, double encoding it, heading straight through, doing the hex binary, etc. It's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, there's. I agree. You definitely have to be using at least Burp or something similar that is not going to mangle your request for you. But it's also got a lot of other really cool things. So somebody built a plugin for Hackverter directly into Burp. So that way you can kind of write what you need to, build a bunch of different encoding schemas. Maybe you need to compress it and then base 64 it and then, I don't know, encrypt it or something. You can write a Hackverter script that will take your payload, do all of that for you, and inject it directly into the request. And this helps a lot when you need to mess with things like anything that you need to send direct non-ASCII characters. So anything that's got whatever crazy binary characters that you wouldn't regularly be able to work with inside the window. It's got a lot of really cool functionality.
Interesting.
Very
That sounds like HTTP response smuggling on steroids, sort of.
Yeah, so it's your payload, but you need to do something to your payload, so then you can kind of morph it how Intruder, you can give it a list of different transformations. It's kind of like that, but directly in Repeater. And I believe you can even apply the rules to Proxy, so that way you can modify requests transparently if you need to, which is really convenient if there's something weird, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something at all, but I can't think of anything that you need to dynamically modify as you're going along. Like, maybe you get the keys for a stateless HMAC cookie, and then you can pipe that through Hackverter to HMAC the value every single time you make the request.
Gotcha.
Or maybe you want to brute force those cookie fields or something like that. And doing that can be kind of difficult. So putting it through this framework is really nice. I don't know. Have you used Hackverter before?
Oh my. I'm so sorry, but I just have to say the scoreboard is back up and almost everyone now has 600 points.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, are we thinking that that's a legitimate score, or is someone feeling quite generous?
So Wade is still in first place. James second. John the winner. João Ribeiro is third. Bigous fourth. And Exord fifth. And everyone that I just said is now with 600 points. Mateus is now with 400 points, and Silesian and Demon are both with 200 points. And we almost have all of our players tonight in the scoreboard.
More when you said the scoreboard's back up, Nahamsek in the chat said, "Is it?"
Oh my God! Can you just Jesus Christ?
Nahamsek, please.
Oh my God, man!
It's slacking.
People in the chat are already saying, "Nahamsek, please don't."
And yeah, one of the interesting things here on the scoreboard that I'm seeing is that Mateus has 400 points. So I think that Mateus has solved the middle flag, but has not solved the easy flag.
Yes, that is correct. If you're looking at the scoreboard, you can click on the players' names, and that will show you which flags have they solved.
Nice.
That's funny. I do that all the time. If there's something low level, if I'm spending more than a couple minutes on it and it's only going to give me 100 points, and the next one up gives me several hundred points, I'm going to go back later and try to get that low level one. I'd rather score some big points first. And also, oftentimes I'm overthinking it. I'll spend a lot of time grinding away at something and being completely wrong. Going and doing finding a different bug will, kind of reset that method.
Yeah, good point. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Echo 31003. Echo, thank you so much for subscribing tier 1 for 6 months in advance. Truly appreciate you. Thank you for helping make UHC happen. It's awesome. I saw Tech9 in the chat asked for some dad jokes because they have a cybersecurity college lecture next week. And so they need to impress people. So any go-to Infosec dad jokes? I'm going to start with Savant.
The actual dad.
My youngest, my little girl who's 9 now, does not believe that I am in fact older than Google. Just straight up thinks that I'm messing with her completely. Just cannot fathom the world, or that's untrue. And I have to say, when I was your age, we had to call the internet, and sometimes it was busy. And yes. God damn it, if your grandmother wouldn't pick up the fucking phone while I was 90% complete on a download that I had waited for all night. But anyway, that's not a dad joke. That's just dad.
If you haven't seen something, summing up to 39 years of download, you don't know what the internet is.
Yeah,
been there, done that.
I remember being excited if I could download 1 megabyte in 5 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, the modem is like really, we're cooking tonight.
Yeah, Yeah, I think. Well, we had net zero for a long time, and then I'm probably fairly young with a lot of listeners, or even and Savannah, I know that you have a few years on me, not to age you too much, but 5
I'm still
megabit.
here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. 5 megabit
No
per
kidding.
second was like after like 5 years of internet, I finally got that, and that was the fastest thing in the world, cable. And I had that for like 5 more years, and then we got 100 megabit per second, and that was totally life changing. And now I have dual gigabit up and down, and it's not fast enough. So.
Yeah, same here. I have dual gigabit, and I have bothered the other internet service provider who has fiber right in front of my house to please connect it to my house. And they're like, "Sorry, you're not a corporation, so we can't connect to your house."
I got fiber going right to my basement, but I signed up on the wait list for the satellite internet, the SpaceX stuff, because that seems pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I had. Go ahead, Savant.
Are we just going to steamroll past the fact that Kaz said he had fiber straight to his basement?
What? It's cool. It's awesome.
That's a poop joke.
Oh.
Sorry.
Does that work with your daughter?
But it's her, right? I'm still relevant. Trust me. It's them that's wrong.
No, the students are wrong.
Thanks, Super Nintendo Chalmers.
Yes. Okay. We're looking at Wade's screen right now, and I'm trying to figure out, like, if they've got a shell in. It looks like this is just their local shell, I think. And I guess they're trying to list S3 buckets. Okay, nice.
It looked like he was building a Lambda app for a second. Did anybody else see that? Is that what that was? I saw imports and.
Well, I see node index, right? So that means that locally, Wade is running a script that he wrote called index. He's using it's written in JavaScript, running it with Node, and then he basically supplies what command he wants to run through the command injection. It goes out and does the command injection for him, and then returns.
Oh, I see. Back. I didn't even see that. Nice.
So when he's running ID, that's running inside of the Lambda, and it's dumping out the UID of the execution environment inside the Lambda. Excuse me, is 993 for your ID, etc. So yeah, that's cool. We've seen other players do that. A friend of ours who is hosted with us, John Hammond, he tends to start off doing like development as opposed to working inside of Burp. And I think that can definitely be a way to go because once you've got your workflow codified or codified, then it's just programmatic and you can wrap, more and more enrichment around that.
I've definitely written kind of like shim applications between Burp and whatever I'm communicating with to kind of automate some of the more complex functions that need to be done that I can't do in Burp. Knowing any sort of language, even just the bare bones, be it whatever JavaScript, Node, or Python, or whatever, is super useful for doing that type of stuff.
Absolutely. And one question that I always have is like, how do you figure out when to switch gears? Like, is there something that like you see, oh, okay, I can't do this thing that I want to get done in Burp. So I'm going to switch from using Burp exclusively to like writing some of my own code. Like, how do you figure out when to switch gears like that?
It's usually an anger level for me when I'm getting like really frustrated that I have to do all this BS work that I could automate. Like, then I'll switch over. It's hard to say. Sometimes I'm okay sometimes I'm lazy and I'm okay just doing the extra work over and over again. But if I find myself being completely encumbered by having to do that over and over again, then I'll start considering alternatives. But then you risk the problem of, spending 5 hours trying to write the perfect application, do exactly what you want. And then you're just being a developer and That's why I'm a hacker. I don't like developing.
Yeah, this is why we write, as I was once told in a job interview, we write hacker shit. We're not software engineers. We write hacker shit. Savant, what about for you? How do you figure out when to switch over from using some existing tooling to start crafting your own?
At the point where I find myself more screaming at the application itself, typically when I redline like that, what I'll do is I need to put it down completely and go work on something else, or go change the style of music I'm listening to, or something completely different. I won't stop hating the old application, but while I'm trying to not think about hating it, I'll end up invariably finding a solution that makes more sense.
Sure, right. And I totally, check with that on the music side. I'm like, get this awful dual core music off of the playlist. Let's get some really good stuff, the Prodigy or some actual talented musician going.
I will not. I won't feed pander. No. Here you go.
I'm the opposite. I'm usually listening to Daft Punk, then I'm like, man, I need a real music group to listen to. I'm gonna go listen to Dual Core.
Well, of the two groups, who's still together?
Hey. Neither. No, just kidding.
No. You heard it right here first. It's an ode drop direct on Ultimate Hacking Champions.
Subtweeting. I kid.
Lost carrier.
Actually, there was one time where I flew out to California for a surprise Kaz birthday party. And then I made no plans other than just going to California for the surprise Kaz birthday party. At which point I was like, Kaz, can I crash on your couch? And Kaz was like, sure, no problem. And we jump in his vehicle, and there's a dual core 01 CD in the CD player. And Kaz was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed right now. And I was like, that is the coolest thing. Like, you were like legit listening to dual core, just on your own, not like, trying to impress me or anything. I thought that was amazing.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta get pumped. You gotta remember that you gotta hack all the things. And that was an important night, so I had to remember to drink all the booze also. And that I did.
I heard, we don't have to go into the details, but I also heard there was a story where Savant and Kaz, the two of you, may have perpetrated a legit, legal, physical pen test, and also been listening to some dual core on that particular night as well.
We were, yeah. I remember that vividly.
Literally, we can just say literally hacking all the things.
The short
version. Yeah. So this is his first week at work. His first week. Now, I happen to be off of work because my daughter was born that week. So this younger decides that Kaz is going to try and take the up from me, all the research, all the groundwork, and try to execute it on my behalf. So while holding the baby on one shoulder, no, I'm just kidding. But what was awesome is in that instance, we did some movie hacking stuff. We got in, we're in the car, we remotely unlocked the doors. We have footage of the video. We waved to the night security guard. And we have these pockets full of USB drives, and shout outs to Virus. And Kaz and I are in this laboratory, shall we say, and we're just sticking, we're stabbing a punching bag, Metasploit, interpreter, USB, auto run payloads into everything. And there's this line that says, do not cross this line. And it's a really sketchy looking wall, or writing on the ground, and it looks like hazards of health. Well, we're running out of time. We've timed when the doors will relock, and no one can find Kaz. And eventually I see a pair of skinny blonde legs sticking out from underneath the table in the no-go zone, where he's breathing Ebola or something, trying to find a USB port in what turned out to be some mainframe mass spectrometer or something. He literally too hard, Kaz. Too hard.
In my defense, that thing looked old, so I figured auto run would be on. And I mean, that if it's behind the do not go zone, that's got to be the good stuff, right?
The best stuff is behind the do not go zone.
Yeah.
I saw Bose Condensate asked in the chat about the environment variables from the box. These are environment variables from the Lambda that has a command injection vulnerability in it. So yes, that is what you're seeing. And yeah, excellent. That story is like one of my favorite pen test or like, red team ops stories, because it is just like the ownage was just very thorough.
It was incredible.
And, Savant, you kind of there was a little poke at Kaz there about like this youngin trying to steal the op out from under you. And Savant, when you and I worked together, there was DEF CON where most of the team went to DEF CON, but you didn't. And we jokingly told you, like, save something for us in the op that's starting. And you did not save anything for us. You went and hacked everything immediately. But that was kind of that was like the start. That was like the groundwork for our like full contact recon presentation that we did together.
I mean, it's a compliment. Like, I knew that I could take it over from you because all the hard work you did was just so well done that it could not fail regardless of whether or not you were there.
Oh,
you did such a great job.
And now look at you running the world with your cabal and your private underground layer that you told me not to mention.
Oh.
Well, that's where the fiber goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about exfiltration.
Yeah.
I want to give shout outs to Sarah Vejo. I've been watching their stream, and it's not necessarily the glorious part of stream watching, but this is what 90% of most hacking is. It's just crunching the documentation and putting in the hours, and there's really no substitute for that.
Oh. Man pages all day.
Yep, we talk about that on UHC frequently, where people are just looking things up online all the time, and that is the bulk of hacking. You find something, you're like, I have no idea what this is. Let's learn about it, and then you start looking stuff up. And right now, we see people looking up. We were watching Sarah Vejo's screen, and they're looking up the API Gateway Developer Guide. Like, yep, this is exactly what we do. We look up how to use the computers to our advantage. RTFM,
cool.
Exactly.
RTFM, that's right. I don't does that still fly? I mean, a lot of the culture that defined the hacking scene in the late 80s, early 90s through the 2000s certainly does not scale at all in today's society. And I'm wondering if RTFM was a big part of our culture. And for those who don't know, it means read the fucking manual. The assumption was that if you were asking how to hack your girlfriend's Hotmail, that you were a lamer. And if you had done the work and asked a smart question, then you were worthy of a response.
Yeah, I think that still applies, at least in asking questions, right? Like at work, I ask a bunch of questions because I have a team that is amazing, and they are very wonderful human beings, and they never make me feel bad for asking questions. But to that point, I don't come to them without having done the work on my own. So, it's fine to ask, like, how does this thing work or whatever, but I want to show them, here's what my thoughts were. Here's what I've tried. I've tried, all of these things. I'm essentially out of ideas, and I can't figure out like what to do, or I'm to the point where like I've spent more time on this than what I feel it should take. And again, fortunately, everybody is very wonderful, so they can point me in the right direction without making me feel bad. But I definitely want to show them proof of effort on my part.
It's very cool. Plus, if they ever talk back to you, you can say, yeah, well, how many hit singles do you have on Spotify?
How many #1 Bandcamp albums have you had?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, when you mainline the DEF CON stage, then you can tell me what to do. Okay.
I've had a few interns over the years, and I'm not the right person to have interns, but for some reason I keep getting stuck with them. No offense to all, I'm not getting stuck with them. I'm just not a very good teacher. But I mostly.
It's really not.
Rude.
Wow, thanks. Thanks for kicking me while I'm down. I
was going to say, speaking of being down, the scoreboard was down, but now it's back up. So sorry. Continue.
I really try to emphasize how much of the job is just Googling things and reading documentation and trying to understand, say, like what the developer or what the system engineer that designed the system was trying to go for when they were building the system, or how the data flow works. But while also not being able, or not being afraid to ask questions, like you said, David. I mean, I don't want to spoon feed them everything, and I certainly wouldn't want to necessarily be, told everything that I need to do, because what's the point of my job if somebody's just going to tell me how to do it? But at least try to nudge them in the direction, maybe give them some documentation or some ideas that they can kind of go look at and evolve from there. Because I think that's being able to skim through documentation and read through spec guides and everything that we're seeing here as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible is super important for all of our jobs, especially when you're being paid to do something in a short amount of time and you're expected to do the best job possible at it.
Well, and real talk, as a red teamer and not just as a drive-by hacker of opportunist, if you're trying not to get caught and you're trying to pull something off, once you get into an environment, preferably the internal network, the very first thing you do, that's when the op starts. It's not getting into the environment. It's when you get into Confluence and Jira. And once you're able to pour through all of those design documents and bug reports, then you truly understand how the application's meant to work.
Absolutely.
Well, abstracting and taking a step back there, it's figuring out also, like, where are the good data sources, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do I start looking for once I've got access, and having that understanding of like, oh, right, I should go look for data stores like Jira or wikis or whatever that probably, or issue trackers like, or wikis like Confluence or whatever. That's like something as well that is really good to get the development around, right? And have the understanding on the methodology.
Whenever we'd get into like somebody's email through brute forcing or, however we did it, one of the first things I did was I would sort email by date in reverse. So I saw all the initial onboarding emails that person got. And they inevitably have useful links to documentation or VPN connection details or just the very basic things, because sometimes, especially when you're in really technical organizations or engineering emails, you're reading through some of these things and you're like, I don't even know where this message is coming from. I have no idea what this is talking about. So getting the new person orientation, quick view of the organization is really, really useful.
Yeah, that's an excellent tip. I want to call out here, what we're seeing on screen is a kind of like it's a framework called Paku, made by Rhino Security Labs, and I think mainly authored by one individual whose name I'm blanking on right now, Spencer Getz, I want to say. But it's a modular framework where you can like tab complete. Paku is like really dope, and what you can do is load in credentials. So the creds that you pull back here from the AWS environment, the Lambda environment, you load those creds into Paku, and then it's got a set of modules available that you can run. And so I've used Paku in the past. I find it to be pretty helpful, and I'm surprised that we didn't see anybody else loading this up until halfway through the CTF. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what we get here, because you can do a bunch of like automated testing all in one shot. Another tool that I really like that I haven't seen anybody go to is PMapper, and PMapper can map principles for you inside of your AWS environment. So you can give it some access keys and tell it like, please like go build a graph of your understanding of the environment, and then you can query that graph. So you can say like, who can run a particular API, like who can run, S3 list buckets or whatever. And it can come back and tell you like, okay, here are the roles, here are the principles that are deployed into the environment. And then it can answer those questions. Oh shoot, what up, Virus?
Oh,
it's a 949 party. Savant just stepped out. He'll be right back. But yeah, so anyways, I'm really excited to see what Mateus does here with Paku, running Lambda enumeration across all of the regions. And that's another thing, right? AWS has regions. So just because you are in one region with Lambda access doesn't mean that there's another Lambda in a different region that might have something different of value.
Yeah, AWS keys IAM. Whoa, hey, check that out.
Yeah, and so look at that. Paku already, I mean, this is a flag that I think we already found, but Paku finds that for you, right? That's super cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, Virus. Scout Suite, really dope. I like Cloud Splaining as well, which is written by the individual from Salesforce, and I don't think I can pronounce their name correctly, Kinnaird McQuaid or something like that. But yeah, Scout Suite, Cloud Splaining, Paku, Endgame, if you've got a copy of it or you want to go find a copy of it through archive.org, would all be really cool things to load up with these access keys and let them fire off.
From the blue team side of things, I've recently discovered an app, a startup darling called Wiz.io. And they have a really interesting model. They create a dashboard of all of your cloud assets and analyze configurations and packages and, give you a high level view of what your shit is vulnerable. But it's got a really novel approach. The way it works is that you give it IAM access to make a copy of your instances. It then instantiates its own local copy and then does a local scan from the inside out. So rather than relying specifically on version numbers, it can actually drill right down to package source. It can look for secrets. It's fantastic if you can afford it.
Yeah. Wiz.io?
Cool. Correct, Wiz.io.
Dope. And Buzz, yeah, you mentioned Buzz in the chat mentioning CloudGoat. So for folks that are interested in getting started with pen testing with AWS stuff, Spencer, who wrote or is at least a primary author of Paku, wrote a AWS pen testing book that's available on Packet, P-A-C-K-T, and you can do CloudGoat as well. CloudGoat, written by the same folks at Rhino Security Labs. They have a bunch of different scenarios that will spin up in your AWS account. You can get, I think you get something, there's like a year of free tier or something like that on AWS. So you can potentially do some AWS pen testing and get some experience at little or no cost to yourself. And I really like that as far as like being able to get your skills up when money might be an issue. So Mateus ran the Lambda enumeration module. I would be curious to see. I mean, I think they kind of got like the same creds that they've had already. I would be curious to see what other modules come back with. I think there's definitely some good stuff to be had there. And I've got to assert that getting the creds out of the Lambda is the path to go. There's just something else in the environment that will get you there.
Sorry to interrupt here, but if y'all have been keeping an eye out here on the chat, I've been updating about the scoreboard. Tonight, it is a very insane night because pretty much all of our players are already in the scoreboard. This is pretty rare. We don't get to see this very much because almost everyone is going for the root flag already. And we are 3 minutes away from our official mid-game. So this is not usual here on UHC. This means we have one heck of a race tonight going on. And it's pretty much anyone's game because Wade is in first place, James in second, John the River or John the Winner is third, Bigous fourth place, Exords fifth place, Silesian sixth, and Mateus in seventh place, and they all have the same amount of points. They all have the easy and medium flag already, and they are all going for the root flag. So it's quite impossible for us to jump around here to try and catch who's going to be the winner of tonight's match, and we really cannot know. It is... We're gonna have to find out of luck. So I please ask all of here, the host and all the guests, to keep an eye as you can here on at least the top 3 players, just to be sure we catch them actually doing it.
Yeah, awesome. And what up, Bert? I see Bert in the chat. I hope everything is going all right. Bert was supposed to join us tonight, but had a family emergency, so we hope everything is going all right with you. But we're glad that you're here with us, and hopefully we'll be able to play next week.
Awesome. And I see Virus in the chat there. Just want to say, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Yeah.
Another 949 member.
Yeah, for sure. Virus, you'll have to come host with us. Absolutely.
Yeah, come play.
Yeah, also that. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe don't play. Give the other players a chance. Also, I saw Bose asking about, can CloudGoat be configured with something like LocalStack? I didn't even know that LocalStack existed. So Bose, give it a shot and let us know what happens, because I'd be curious. But LocalStack looks like it is a local implementation for AWS. Seems pretty cool. All right, so we are currently watching
Mateos, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Cool. And so Mateo's just doing some more enumeration. This is one idea that I had here. So if you've got access keys, and sometimes where I find secrets in AWS environments is in old snapshots and volumes that have like been detached from running EC2 instances. And so you can loot those, create a copy, and then mount it, to another EC2 instance, or get some way to access it and find files of interest.
And you've just hit on something super interesting, because when you create a snapshot, even if a volume doesn't exist and you have the permissions, you can create one. Well, if you steal a hard drive and you reattach it to an instance that you control, you're the one who states which SSH key is authoritative. That means that you can bypass their SSH key entirely and loot the rest of the local file system. Now, that's not going to get you their SSH key, but maybe if /home is mounted for other users, you don't need it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good point.
I've done definitely looting snapshots of virtual machines is awesome. At one of the assessments I've done in the past, we were having a hard time getting onto their actual corporate network. We did, however, manage to jump on a Mac box that was not on the corporate network. It was on guest network or something, and it had a virtual machine of a corporate network computer on it. We were able to pull the Windows credentials, the actual computer domain credentials from that host, and use those to authenticate over Wi-Fi to the corporate network. Just really weird stuff, but crazy powerful if you can get a host like that has some sort of trust or some sort of details that have been stored that maybe shouldn't have been there.
Fun fact, VMDKs, you can grep them. Try grepping a Linux VMDK for Shadow. See what happens.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, it's just a disk image.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I've run volatility against memory snapshots before to pull out creds that way.
The VMem, yep.
Yeah,
I have written tooling around doing forensics against VM snapshots. And so what I like to do is see I'll have like a security onion VM, right? And so I can take like a PCAP from the virtual network interface and do whatever stuff that I'm doing, whatever I want to test. But then I can throw the PCAP into security onion, and it can tell me these alerts, were triggered, or no alerts were triggered if I'm doing it right. And then I can take the VMem and the VMDK, whatever the VM assets are, and I can throw those into my tooling, and it can tell me okay, here's the timeline of files that were identified as being changed. So it's a really good way to test time stamping as an example, right? Does my tooling work when I try to timestamp, and does the forensic timelining find it or not? And then same thing with the VMem stuff is is my stuff that I'm trying to hide, does it come out in normal searches, or how hard is it to find the stuff that I want to keep hidden? And I really like virtualization and containerization.
I was going to say that actually brings up a really good point with research, or even CTFs or pen tests, or any sort of work that you're doing when you're trying to attack a system or enumerate or understand it, is just downloading the application and running it and understanding what artifacts are left behind, what network connection it makes, just understanding the intricacies of the application being ran in your environment that you can control and monitor. It's a lot nicer to be able to do that than kind of guess at something that's in production.
Nice. Virus, the in-mem recon, whatever you linked, it got censored by our rude bot. So would you please defang the URL and share it, or reword it or whatever, so that we can see, because all we see is *** Hunter 2.
Y'all want to jump around anyone else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hop over to James Rasner. Looks like they're about to be catching some shells right before our very eyes. Let's see how this
Nice.
goes. It looks like they're making a request to a file. I caught the end of it, so I'm unclear as to something that they placed there or they're just exploiting a vulnerable API, but we're seeing connections to Netcat and then trying various techniques to create a reverse TCP connection when there's not a copy of Netcat with the gaping security hole compiled into it, or -E, which used to be compiled by choice and not by default.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, and it looks like they're using ngrok as well.
Nahumsec is complaining that the timeout of the scoreboard is now sold out in the store because he bought everything from both of the channels.
I see that 6 in front of I see that 6 in front of ngrok. Grok, is that IPv6? Will it do IPv6 to IPv4 translation for you?
I don't know. I thought it was just a subdomain for ngrok, but like for load balancing or whatever. But I'm not sure if the 6 represents IPv6 or not. You know, it's funny. When I got my first red team job, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like write all my tooling with like IPv6, and it's gonna be like, you know, amazingly elite. And then it turned out I didn't need to do that at all. We were able to move around in the network just fine. But I do think that IPv6 is a really good way to go if you're trying to remove visibility of your attack.
Yeah, if you have two children and then you have to sell one of them for Splunk, you're going to keep the other one and especially love it, but you're going to have a blind spot. And usually it's IPv4 traffic that gets copied, and TCP/6 is open even to the internet. So double check your security groups and make sure you're not omitting those. Yeah,
good point. Let's see. So James is digging into how to use AWS. And again, kind of what we were talking about before with like just learning things on the fly as you go. And you know, we never know what the players' skill sets are. So, and the challenges may not map in between the qualifying round and the subsequent final, which you watch on Sunday. So, you know, it very well could be that the qualifying round had completely different bugs. You know, didn't have anything to do with AWS specifics. And now, like, the players find themselves in this completely different setup that they may not be prepared for.
So Bert here in the chat telling us that he submitted a question. And the question is, I need a dad joke from hubby in Tatey. Also, in Bayern, thank you for subscribing to us. I cannot read your fucking handle because that shit is not human language. But thank you for subscribing. That's amazing.
The person with the YubiKey press for the channel. Thank you for subscribing to us.
Now the hubby's dad joke.
Okay. Why do hackers grow their plants with hydroponics?
I don't know. 80, why do hackers grow their plants with hydroponics?
To get root access.
Oh my fucking...
I've missed this so much.
Yeah.
I've missed this.
I loved when I would like fly out to San Francisco and I'd be in the office for like half a day, and you all would be like, okay, you need to go home now. You need to leave.
You should just get up on stage on DEF CON when you're supposed to rap and just start throwing out dad hacker jokes.
It's the new dual core art project.
Yeah.
Blue Dragon's like, I knew I shouldn't have joined today.
Oh my! I'm the luckiest girl in the world, y'all. I have this man in my house. People in the chat. I'm following. Oh, he is. He is cool and he is hot.
Oh, thank you.
I have a great story. One time I was working with an 80 and we were on an op where we had to break into a building. And unfortunately, it was in a multi-office tenancy that had an elevator that went directly to, like, the elevators open to their door. And so we brought all the kit. We brought the under the door tool and the lock picks and all the things. And we waited for janitorial to pass, and we would wait for security guards to pass. And then we'd have a small window where we would try and ultimately fail to get in. Well, an 80 comes back by himself, armed only with a laptop cracked open to a Google image search of kittens, and then in perfect Spanish asks nicely to be let into the office because he'd forgotten his keys or something to that effect. And they shrugged and let him in. And then he closed up, locked up behind him.
Yep.
Hacks.
Yeah.
Just the mustache.
There was 2 passes with the cleaning crew, and when the cleaning crew came through, they spoke Spanish. And so I had my laptop there. I opened Google image search. I typed cute kitten pictures. That was my search query. Had all the thumbnails of cute kitten pictures on my screen. And then I waited for the first janitorial staff person to come out of the office I wanted to get into. And then I walked up and I showed them my laptop. I just kind of walked over to them and sort of buddied up with them. And I was like, oh, hey, is anybody in the office? And they said, nope. And I was like, cool. I had a meeting downtown earlier. I left my keys in here. Can you let me in? And then they opened the door for me and I went in. Very fun.
I knew we were meant to be. For those who don't know, since I'm a social engineer, I am also specialized in what we call break and entering, or you can also say physical pen test, whatever you like. So whenever Int80 started telling me this little assignments, little run-ins, little break and enterings, my heart just skipped a bit. It was like, oh my God, we're meant to be.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I've had some fun stories talking about some of the more interesting gigs I've done, be it physical or virtual or whatever, to people that aren't really familiar with this side of security or even really how any of this stuff operates. And so I've talked to people telling them how, I got sent to break into a building, in this one place, and it was crazy. They were guards with guns and everything, and they're like, wait, you broke into somewhere? I'm like, it was legit. We signed a contract. It was cool. Or talking oh yeah, there was this bank, totally got in, got all this stuff. We did this. It was all blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you hacked into a bank? I'm like, yeah.
You not?
Yeah, I wanted to be a spy when I grew up. And this is pretty much as close as I could get.
Back in Brazil,
we had the same choices. Don't complain to me.
Back in Brazil, that's a pretty crazy choice because physical pen testing and social engineering and security protocols, they're all very, very, very old back there. So security is not something that people are accustomed, are comfortable in. It's not part of the data of their day-to-day mentality nor anything like that. So physical pen tests are quite wild back there because you can actually get shot and the client is even worried about you. So I do get clients just please don't do this because we don't know if you're gonna get shot. And I constantly have to ask and ask and ask again, can I go there? Can I come here? Can I break into this and that lab? And the client has to keep me updated. Yes, that one you can go for. No, that one you're gonna get shot. And
I just want to point out
that's fun though.
Salesian looks like he has a shell. Oh, never mind. Sorry, he is running Paku in a container. I was like, why does he have a shell inside of a container that's got Alpine? And I thought maybe he got onto ECS or Fargate or something like that, or maybe an EC2 instance that had Docker on it, and landed in a container. But it's just on his local system. So false alarm. Sorry.
Yeah, I always spin up Kali in the environment that I'm hacking. Spin up a quick EC2 instance or a Dockerized version. Do all my testing from that.
Well, we see the players do these really cool things where they pull in their tooling into, or like not even their tooling, just other tools that they're familiar with into the environment once they get a shell. So one of the favorites here on UHC is a tool called RipGrep, RG. And it's a turbo fast version of grep. And that'll be like the second thing that they pull down. Like sometimes they'll usually they'll pull down chisel first so they can set up tunneling, and then they'll pull down RipGrep. But it's like completely contrary to like my normal thing, which would be like, if I've got my own implant, I would be like, okay, we'll put meat pistol on the box and then run with it. But other than that, it's like I generally don't go around adding things to systems.
Yeah.
Lip off the land if you can.
Yes.
Yeah, getting good at Linux tools or God, PowerShell now. I love PowerShell. It's so crazy useful. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of, it's the understanding that these systems are all connected to each other, right? And they're meant to talk to each other in different ways. And so just taking the time to understand how that mapping works is so valuable, because now you don't have to add your own stuff. You can just use the same communication channels that's intended. And what's great is, as you come up against these detection systems that are building like models with like machine learning and stuff, your behavior looks the same as what the normal communications look like. And so you blend right in. It's not going to throw an alert, or you at least reduce the risk of throwing an alert. If the system never uses netcat to talk, on 4444, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. But if the system is always, using Jenkins to talk or whatever, and you just use Jenkins like it normally does, you're good to go.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm still triggered.
About what?
I've been professionally hacking for the better part of 2 decades now, and I just cannot get rid of Jenkins. It's like that one song that everybody knows.
I love Jenkins.
And it's always out of tune. I do too. I mean, it's a really convenient way to get shells. It is literally RCE as a service. And for some reason, people don't lock it down before they use it as their pipeline to production. Fuck that. Sorry. Anyway. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, so Savant and I may have once written a tool called Leroy Jenkins, but I think that's like one of like 6 different tools that are called Leroy Jenkins.
Everyone's so original.
Yeah, it was a Friday night. Savant was like, "Oh, did you know that if you can get, I forget what it was, like the CSurf token or something like that, if you can get some token out of Jenkins, then like you can just do all this looting." And we're like, "Oh, let's like programmatically do that," and then we did. Super cool. I see Virus mentioned about loading your own AMI and then just rampaging. And yeah, that's a good approach too, right? The AMI or AMI is the machine image. And so that's kind of like it's like your Docker image, right? When you spin up a Docker container, same thing, your AMI or your AMI is your machine image or your VM image that then spins up to the EC2 instance. So you just bake your own AMI, put your own tooling in it. Now you've got access into the AWS environment and you're like, run my instance with all my stuff, and it's all there. Yeah, I don't know the correct pronunciation or the quote unquote correct pronunciation, and I will happily fight anybody that wants to tell me the correct pronunciation of GIF when they're wrong. My favorite in trolling with GIF pronunciation is to say it's pronounced like the G in garage.
I can't even.
Or like the G in gorgeous. Okay, so we are watching Salesian, who is running Paku inside of a Docker container, and I think just kind of like Mateus was doing, I think the plan is to load up those access creds that came out of the Lambda, and then start poking around with Paku. I'm going to bounce up to Mateus to see how they're faring, if Paku has found anything good. There is some really cool output on Mateus's screen right now. It looks like Mateus has maybe the policy that's attached to the Lambda. I'm not exactly sure on what specifically the output is, here, but it's got at least the role that the Lambda is running as. So we see this like service role. We've got the ARN for the function. So that's like the universal identifier, universally unique identifier for the Lambda function. There's the environment stuff that's got the secrets in it. And one thing I see here, repository type S3. And so I can't tell if that is, if that's just the location of the Lambda code, and then the Lambda is like pulling in the code from an S3 bucket, maybe. That's my guess, but I'm not 100% sure. But then scrolling down, it looks like there's an IAM policy at the very bottom there, which will have details about what I should have details about what permissions the Lambda has.
I'm looking over at Bigous' screen, and it looks like I'm trying to tell if that's his account or if he's accessed the AWS console using the credentials somehow from this host, because I see this serverless repo uploader role as the username.
Oh yeah, interesting. That does look like
That sounds promising.
Yeah, that does look like the console. And what's interesting is I'm not sure how to go from the access keys into the console access.
So I've done it. Remember at old job, one of the techniques that you can do is if you find an account that has been, that's not deactivated, but has been idle for a while, and you have the ability to control the email address that is associated with the account, and then you can issue a password reset, and then you can apply MFA if you need to, which will then grant you, and then you can grant yourself access to the UI.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah, so it looks like he's just going in and trying to create some instances or access some of the other stuff through that method.
Yeah, it looks like he's found an instance that's already running, and so I don't, or maybe he started the instance, but yeah, and so maybe the storage in that instance has something. I saw NK. I'm sorry, your name with the UB key press asked a question: is Jenkins a program or a song? It might also be a song. It is a program. It's for like CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery. So you can like push new code, and then Jenkins can do a new build of your application for you, and then deploy the app. But we generally, as offensive security individuals, we think of Jenkins as code execution as a service, because you can literally tell it like, please do these things for me, and it will do the things that you ask it to do.
Okay, restarting Cloud Shell. All right, that seems promising.
Well, Cloud Shell's a new addition into the AWS console. GCP has had it for a while, but it's basically like your own shell environment inside of AWS or inside of GCP. You get an actual shell prompt, and then you can do things. And I know in GCP, I think you get like 5 gigs of storage for free that persist in your project, which is really nice. Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I'm really curious about what's going on with this EC2 instance. Like, is this something that's part of the CTF, or is it something that John or that Bigous spun up? And your Savant, you kind of mentioned about like getting that console access. I wonder if maybe, I don't know, they're in the uploader role. Okay, so I was thinking that maybe they were able to create an IAM user or something like that as well. But it looks like they're in as the role. So yeah.
One thing I've come across within AWS instances like this is people installing the AWS Systems Manager, I think it's called, which acts as an agent running on the host. And given the right permission, you can actually tell it to execute commands on the host for you. And it runs at the highest level because it runs as a service.
Naturally. Great.
Yep. So good. Cool. So there's a volume, and the attachment time is March 11th. So that means it's been there for a month. So I don't think that that's something that Bigous created. So maybe Bigous is digging on something interesting here. And Virus, thank you for the note. 2 gigs on GCP inside of Cloud Shell and lasts for a year. Cool. Good to know.
Yeah, Cloud Shell is great. I run, I keep all my GAM stuff in there. It's way easier than dealing with having to keep your local version up to date or whatever. And if you're not familiar with GAM, it's like a Google administrative tool that uses all the underlying APIs, the developer APIs that aren't really exposed through like Google Workspaces to automate a lot of the functionality. Super cool tool.
Very cool. And also, Virus had a really good point in the chat. You can also, having identified an EC2 instance that's running, you can pop onto that instance and cause, to your point, you could do this through Systems Manager, pop onto the instance, hit the metadata service, pull new access creds, which may have different permissions, potentially more permissions, and then use those creds to further loot the environment, which might get you that final root flag here in this case. So yeah, this is really cool. We had I can only remember one other AWS actual AWS challenge inside of UHC, and it was actually the week that the player got the fastest time. There was a kid named Kawe, and he finished in like 20 or 25 minutes or something like that, and he just rampaged through the AWS environment. It was massively impressive, and he's young. Like, Amor, do you remember how old Kawe is? Like, is he like 20 or 18?
I think he's like around 17 or 18.
Oh. And same with Salesian, who's like our 18-year-old, or our 8-time champion. Salesian is like 16 or 17. Bigous is, I want to say, like 15, maybe 16, something like that. So these kids are just like out here crushing it. I am like super impressed. And one of the things that's really cool is employers in Brazil, at least, are watching UHC to find candidates that they can hire. So there are kids that are like getting their first InfoSec jobs because they're playing CTF on UHC and then getting hired by employers. I think that's amazing.
There's a company actually back from Brazil that have already hired, I think, 5 or 6 of the kids.
Nice.
They put together an entire team with the UHC kids.
Smart.
Salesian looks like we're watching Salesian right now. It looks like they are running Paku, and I'm not sure which module is running on the left side or in the middle there that's scrolling a bunch, but now running the module for enumerating the account and seeing what kind of stuff they can find. I have a feeling, I mean, that EC2 instance looks pretty promising to me. So I would be thinking either, one of two things: getting the volume, access to the volume, looking for a file on there, maybe for that final flag, and as well, like Virus mentioned, hitting the metadata service so you can potentially get some like more permissive creds. So let's see. For folks who haven't used Paku, if you're interested in AWS stuff, super fun for doing kind of like point and click hacking inside of AWS. It's got tab completion too, like Metasploit, which is really nice for those of us that live on the keyboard.
Oh, one of the permissions has EC2 startup shell script.
Oh, nice.
That's kind of cool. Or one of the modules. I'm not sure how Paku is set up, but I assume that means that you can put I don't know how AWS does it with their EC2 instances, but some sort of just
it's like a boot script or an install script or a list of apt packages to install on first boot. Yeah, you can a lot of times you can. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, is that like the user data? Is that what you're talking about?
It's used similarly, so you can use user data to pass arguments and options to a start script, for example. It's just another way to kind of do things for the first time. It also does require you to instantiate a new instance in order to trigger it. So you would have to have that permission as well.
It looks like he's gaining access to the console by using, I think it was Paku, or maybe it was just the command line, but he's generating a sign-on URL. So there's some functionality with the credentials that you can generate like a single sign-on link that just pops you directly into the console, is what it looked like.
Ooh. Nice.
That's pretty cool.
That is.
Ooh, and Salesian checking a thing here. So Lambdas have versions and they have layers. And so it very well could be that you just, maybe the flag is in a different layer or a different version of the Lambda. Oh, look at that. There's a number of buckets there. I see CloudTrail logs.
Ruh-roh.
CloudTrail logs are very fun. They basically log all of the actions that happen on the account. And it would be amazing if there was like a CloudTrail log where the flag, had been sent as like a user agent or something like that.
Some of these bucket names are really interesting.
Yeah, but it looks like they're all 0 bytes.
And I don't know if it's an Easter egg or if that's
these are all the uploads.
Okay.
That's what that is. That's all the uploads that everybody has pushed. The file.
Oh, right. From the initial vulnerability with the API. Yep.
He's going to be pushing yes or no for a long time, I feel like.
Yeah.
So one fun trick to expose secrets in an organization that has a bunch of S3 buckets like this would be to see if you could mount a volume to that bucket and then basically slide it with all the other traffic and exfiltrate over, for free over HTTPS.
Ooh, very nice. And so is there a specific, do you happen to recall, is there a specific like EC2 API or an S3 API that you need in order to be able to do the volume copy into the S3 bucket?
Nothing that comes to mind immediately. It's been a minute, so they probably changed it already, or maybe it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that also could be. I feel like AWS evolves so aggressively. But this is looking pretty promising here. Watching Selesian kind of go through the modules, I feel like there's, we've seen there could be stuff in the Lambda to dig into. There could be stuff in the EC2 instance to dig into. So I'm fairly confident we're just starting late game now at this point.
Yeah, I see some snapshots over on Bigos' screen that look like they're a couple. Yeah, one was March 9th, the other one was March 11th. If that snapshot is offline, is he going to be able to download or mount it?
Yeah, you should be able to. But yeah, maybe cause the question you're asking is like, will Bigos actually do it?
Well, I don't know. I know like with VMware, it's very particular about locking drives that are currently running on. So it's really annoying to get like root on VMware and not be able to download the VMDK because it's currently running. I guess because there's
still being written.
Yeah, I guess because there is a snapshot though. He could just pull that down, or he could might be a way to clone it over into another EC2 instance or something, or S3 instance, and analyze it there instead of downloading all 12 gigs.
Yeah, I forget what the... Go ahead.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to download all this stuff if you already have access to hypervisor speed and you can just mount it. I mean, unless you really want trophies.
I forget. There's a specific set of steps that you need to do, which I feel like it's something like creating a new instance or a new volume, and then attaching the snapshot to that volume or something.
Right.
But then that can get you the access to the content, provided that you've got the permissions to do so, the IAM permissions. Let's see. Virus says you can modify the hardware requirements with VMware to make it so low that the instance crashes, and then you can download the VMDK.
Shout outs to Jolly for that one. Thanks, Virus.
Nice. I like it.
All right, so we have instances. You're actually able to create. Looks like things that are looking good.
Oh, I think
we have an external IP. Now, will you be able to hit it directly?
I think this is just kind of like a unfamiliarity with AWS, but
yeah,
this is where I would be like poking at SSM or something like that to see if I can just directly get a shell on the instance.
I see. Do you see that Kali Linux?
Yeah.
I think maybe he spun up Kali Linux and he's attaching the snapshot to it so he can just pull it in there.
Oh, yeah, that could be. But yeah, I would not be going at it from the network perspective at this point. Now that I'm inside of AWS and I've got access to the control plane, I would be trying to, directly access the instance instead of like doing something like, scanning it for services or whatever.
Looks like Legion is messing around with Pacu and launching an instance.
Oh, nice.
Maybe going down the same route.
Oh yeah, looking for launch templates. Nice. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, I'm curious about this like Gemidon. I see it like popping up in different places.
That's Bulbasaur's third evolution, right?
Gemidão, or Jemmy Down. I don't know how would that be in English, but that's a Portuguese joke. Gemidão is a very loud moan, and back in Brazil, WhatsApp is very popular, and it was a very popular prank to send this audio to a bunch of people. That when people would play the audio, it was just a very loud moan. So randomly in places you would never expect, you would hear this really loud moans out of nowhere, like in the bus or in in the subway or in a bank line or in the grocery store, and suddenly out of nowhere just like very loud moan. So this was a very very big joke around a very big joke going around Brazilians a few years ago. And then Igor, the creator of UHC, he did an app where you could send the moans like as a bulk to a bunch of people if you would only pay like, I don't know, 10 cents or something like that. And then he made a lot of money from that because people would not stop sending the moans to others. So the big moan is in Portuguese is gemidão, and that's why you see this name here.
Love it.
Nice. It's like the next iteration on Goatsy. I remember being younger.
I was going to say
library.
Okay.
Also, yeah.
And that's I think that story is particularly enchanting because that's kind of how the hacking word became popular for hackers. It started with pranks. It started with people doing pranks and calling it hacking someone. In the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, or 70s, around that. So people would fill the room with tinfoil and would call that prank a hack or something like that.
Mine originally started with pranks too, and it quickly devolved into something that is questionably legal. And I get paid for it now, so I guess it is legal.
Right.
It's all fun and games, so people get fired. Yeah.
Or arrested.
Or promoted to customer.
Looks like Wade is trying to import SSH keys to get access to an instance.
Hey, here we go.
Nice.
I like that.
All right. Let's bounce over to Wade. And then I saw Bert redeemed a question, but it's so it is a question, but it also comes with an answer. And so Bert's question is, why couldn't the hacker cross the sea?
I don't know, 80. Why didn't the hacker cross the sea?
Because the port was closed.
Thanks, I hate it.
God,
I love it.
Bert, stop, Bert!
That wasn't me. I'm just the messenger.
Oh,
don't hate me, friend. I'm just the messenger.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not like this.
You are not having fun with this, huh? Definitely not having fun with it.
I'm just doing the duties that are obligated to me as a host of UHC. The chat wants more.
Oh my god.
So,
Nahum
so
Sec
yeah,
in the chat saying causes not impressed.
I'm very impressed at how poorly these jokes are being executed.
Oh boy.
Oh,
brutal.
How do you respond to this striking indictment?
Objection.
Sustained. I'll allow it. Overruled.
you can tell me all the dad jokes you want as long as you don't make me call you daddy.
Oh boy. That took a turn. Yes.
Savant, I have a request for your stream box. Can you get a bunch of like Ice-T, quotes from Law and Order, and then have those as like your touch responses?
Yeah, I could cue that up. I mean, it's like the Foreigner belt. It can turn any song into this song, so it'll take any Ice Cube quote and turn it into. It's perfect. You can't even tell. It's like doesn't matter the encoding. I love it.
Nahamsek asking, how did the hackers escape?
All right, Nahamsek.
Oh, that's my favorite one. I actually like that one. I already know the answer.
Did they ran somewhere?
Ah, don't spoil it. Let him tell it. Yes, he ran somewhere.
Yeah.
That one I actually like.
I love it. I think in 2017, our mutual friend War Tortel ran a reverse engineering challenge for Palo Alto called Labyrinth, and I designed one of the challenges, and it was a ransomware challenge, but for embedded devices. And then the flag was that ransomware ran somewhere.
Nice.
It was pretty cool.
That was the
I think it was like a
moment.
It was like a mixed binary.
Hold on, I don't think if we talked about this yet. It's completely off topic, may I? It's like such a tangent. Have you played the new Assassin's Creed game, the Viking game?
Yep. During my unemployment, I've been playing that.
There's a mechanic in the game called flighting, and I swear to God, it's rap battle as a mechanic built into Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's a thing. Like, look it up, medieval Vikings. And so it's, if you want to complete the game, you have to be really good at puns. It's definitely something that you need to look into.
They score you based on like also not just rhyming or puns. You have to match the intent and the cadence of the
meter.
Yeah, exactly. Of the one that you're fighting against. It's pretty cool.
Excellent. It sounds right up my alley. Maybe I'm too good for it, and they'll ban me for cheating or something.
I mean, you could just YouTube it, and there you go. I'll save you $60.
Excellent.
All right. Looks like we're attempting to make some connections. We can. There we go. That looks promising. And we've got permissions denied. Public key. Are the permissions set properly on?
Oh, he's got the wrong username. Maybe.
Could be. Oftentimes you see EC2-user or you see Ubuntu, depending on
I don't know how
the AMI.
But it
looks like show. No, that might be local.
The key material, I think, right? Or maybe that's just an error code that came back. Interesting. I'm unfamiliar with this public. I see. Import key pair. Okay, so Wade is using. We're watching Wade right now. Wade is using the import key pair API to then import a public key or a key pair that Wade controls into the AWS environment, into the EC2 instance, and then that way Wade would be able to SSH on to the EC2 instance.
I'm wondering if that dynamically loads that. I mean, is it going to drop it on the file system, or is it going to require a reboot or
You have to
something.
reboot. Exactly. That's what I was wondering as well. It depends on if it's implemented into some other authentication module that PAM already has loaded. Maybe.
And it looks like it wants, I'm not familiar with this particular API, but it's based on the error code. It seems like it wants the key material as a base 64 encoded string. So I don't know, maybe you don't specify the like SSH RSA prefix or something like that. Maybe you just give it like the actual key material. I'm not sure. One of the things here that we haven't mentioned, but we've mentioned it in previous weeks, is that Wade is using Windows as the base operating system. And generally, my experience has been that players don't typically use Windows, CTF players, except for, for like doing like reversing challenges, for example. But I always thought that was kind of cool that the players just kind of have their own like, mix and mash of different toolkits. And it's something that I'm always interested in.
Absolutely. There's no wrong way to solve a problem if it works.
I've actually gotten, especially in the recent years, with within Windows, with Windows subsystem for Linux and Docker and a couple other nice updates. I've come to really enjoy working within Windows, doing this type of stuff, especially when you're in an environment attacking Windows. I find that it's generally a lot easier just to use the tools immediately available to go that route.
Yeah, I have definitely done that with like Hack the Box. And if I'm targeting a Windows system, I'll just like, spin up a Windows VM and do like my Mimikat stuff, my Mimigatos stuff in the Windows VM, or like other tool testing as well. And it's just kind of easier than messing around with different versions or other clients sometimes.
Yeah, like Savant said, there's no wrong way to do it. I personally don't even prefer running Kali as my main machine, or the main hacking machine. Usually I know the tools that I need to use and I can run them on my own machine or my own customized virtual machine. Otherwise it's just like tool overload. Got all this extra stuff to deal with.
Yeah, I've seen, so kind of going back to like Virus's point about baking your own AMI, what I've seen is, I've seen a bunch of like setup scripts, right? Or maybe even like Ansible playbooks or whatever, things that will like do the install of the toolkit for you and the configuration. But I haven't generally seen people like build out their own machine images, or like start with like, here's like I have like my own VM for CTF, but I haven't seen that approach used very widely. I just see kind of like the install and setup scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely an older way of doing things that predates things like Terraform and Chef and Ansible.
Yeah, and now in the year 2021, I feel like there's that's like the current level for sophistication, right? Is like, are you using the DevOps tools to like build your red team infrastructure, your attack infrastructure, your C2 infrastructure, or like, to build your CTF attack platform or whatever?
Good point.
I am not that fancy. I just do like Docker and and Linux stuff. I'm very basic.
At the beginning of pandemic, I forced myself to buy a Windows gaming PC for research and tax deduction purposes. But also for working from home. And I forced myself to get back into Windows after having only experienced it through Meterpreter for about a decade. And it's humbling how frustrated I get at not being able to do basic things because they used to do it this way. And I'm like, yeah, you sound like your dad. Well, why do they have to change it? What was wrong with the old way?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that working with my previous job, being a pretty much full Windows shop, picking up PowerShell, even just a little bit of it, it was so useful. It is such a cool shell scripting terminal language to work with. It makes some things are less than obvious and definitely a lot different than dealing with the Linux way. But pretty much all the output is objects or it's all objects. So you can pipe an object into another function, and it's kind of like passing around variables, but you're piping it like you would in a shell script. And it's pretty weird to get used to, but it's so powerful.
For folks not used to thinking that way, what would you suggest they start with?
I don't know. I still have not learned PowerShell.
That was a softball question, Kaz. Come on.
I still haven't learned PowerShell well enough to even. That's assuming that I know what I'm talking about.
It's a softball question that I had to ask because I didn't know.
Oh. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hack harder.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like a lot of the only way to learn, especially something like PowerShell, is you have to have an application for it. And if you don't have like more than one Windows machine at home, you're not really doing a ton with it. You're not going to be able to do a lot with it. But if you're working in a domain environment, it's super, super useful to write a lot of the functionality, a lot of the management of services and scanning the network for using PowerShell to remotely connect to a bunch of machines. It's pretty sweet. You can basically hook into every piece of functionality in Windows or services because you can just pull direct .NET functions directly into PowerShell. So you don't have to distribute binaries. You can just pull that functionality directly into the runtime script that you're running and run it remotely on any machine you want, or like all the machines at once.
Can we use it when you're done with it?
Sure.
I'm just kidding. Thank you for such a well thought out answer.
Yeah, I wanted to plus one the important concept of having an application for whatever it is that you're doing, right? Like people ask me about like, how do I get started programming? And my general thought is like, have some problem that you want to solve. Like for me, it was like, I wanted to write hacking tools for AOL. And so that was like a way that that drove me to program. You could do any tutorial online, but how much are you going to retain? Like what is meaningful to you? And so, just going through like, oh, I did like a Ruby tutorial. Okay, great. Like now what are you going to use Ruby for? Nothing? Well, then what's the point of doing the Ruby tutorial?
And beware of accepting a job just because they're programming in whatever the language is, because you will have to support it if you still work there in 3 years.
Yeah,
this is why we change jobs every year.
Everybody swore Ruby was going to be the new thing. Here we are.
Yeah, beware about introducing new businesses to new languages that they're not comfortable with. I ended up having to get like 3 other people to jump on board with learning just the bare minimum of Python to get some of the functionality stuff that I wanted to, because the other option was PHP pretty much. So there's a lot of legacy code that I know that's going to exist around, barely maintained, that they're now going to have to deal with. Same way how I had to deal with a bunch of stuff when I came in. It's like, why are you running cron tabs with PHP?
I just wanted to call out, we are watching Selesian right now. Selesian used a module in Paku that then generated a URL, which would then get Selesian the AWS Web Console access. And so that's how Selesian got into the AWS Web Console. And now it looks like Selesian is trying to maybe launch a new EC2 instance. I saw that when, I think it was Bigous that we were watching previously, when Bigous got into AWS, they were in US East 2, which is the Ohio region. Selesian went to US East 1, which is the Tire Fire, North Virginia region. And there were like a bunch of instances running. Yeah, here we see like 12 different instances running. I kid about
Bigous.
Being
Here we go.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, added a key. Looks like it's gonna. No, wait, hold on. I saw an error. Let's see. Browse. Come on.
I just saw a black box with the word root.
Wait. Oh, here it comes.
There we go.
There we go.
Bigos got it.
Let's see it.
Bigos got the last flag.
And one solve, Bigos.
Don't forget.
Yeah, he launched the web shell like Virus mentioned earlier.
1,600 points. Bigos got it. 1,600. All right. Let's see.
Oh,
So-
dang!
so yeah.
All right.
So,
I'm just
yeah,
waiting for the Brazilians to realize that the Bigos
Woo,
won.
woo,
They
we
are
got
watching
root.
Silesian.
Bigos, this is for you.
Ooh, yeah, can do.
What the heck? All right, y'all. So just, just so
Remember to bug your host if you want me to come back. Just saying.
Just so everyone knows, we are just waiting for the staff. The staff is gonna start the raid. You don't have to do nothing. Just stay there in the chat, and we're gonna raid into the Brazilian channel. Now, there we're gonna meet with the other hosts, the two Brazilian hosts of tonight's match, Igor and Cadu. Cadu is the one that is the one that built the entire CTF. So we're gonna have a walkthrough with him to understand, everything about the flags, and we're also gonna have an interview with Bigos, the winner of tonight's match as well, just to understand his process throughout the championship. So just stay with us, and you're gonna get automatically rated into the Brazilian channel. The walkthrough and the interview are both gonna happen in English and in Portuguese. So bear with us. Whenever you're not understanding, just wait for a few minutes, and it's gonna the translation's gonna happen. We're gonna do the translation for y'all. It's gonna be a broken English. It's gonna be a little bit hard to understand, but be patient. It is very hard to do translations that fast and so accurately. But we try. We sure try. The staff is just asking me to wait a little bit, and I think we're starting the raid right now. All right. Saying, beam me up, Scotty. I love it.
So yeah, we will we'll talk with Bigos, who won, and then we will also have the challenge creator, as Marina said, and we'll talk about what the path was, how Bigos got all of the flags, as well as what the intended path was, because sometimes those are two different things. Sometimes Cadu is like, I did not realize you could do that, or like that was not what you were supposed to do, and hackers being hackers, they figure out other ways to use systems to do things. So again, you don't have to do anything. We are going to raid into the Brazilian live stream,